What is that red line Iran crossed which forced Israel to engage in an all-out war in the Middle East?
And we don't have the luxury to wait and see.
Khamenei is gone. But do you think it's done yet?
I don't know how long the war will go on.
And President Trump claimed Iran's nuclear capabilities obliterated. But is it guaranteed that
it's now obvious that there's nobody to trust there. Nobody can, we can't know for sure.
Recently, Prime Minister Netanyahu said, Pakistan is not our enemy.
Israel does not have any diplomatic relations with Pakistan.
Is Iran getting fragmented?
Iran is fragmented. Okay.
So, for someone who looks towards Israel from outside, it is puzzling. How Israel manages?
If we don't win these wars, we don't exist.
ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಇರಾನ್ ಯುದ್ಧ ನಡೀತಿರೋ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಾನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ದಾಳಿ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಏನು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ, ಯಾವ ಗುರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ದಾಳಿಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಇದರ ಅಂತ್ಯ ಹೇಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಾವು ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ನವ್ರನ್ನೇ ಕೇಳೋಣ ಅಂತ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ವಿದೇಶಾಂಗ ಇಲಾಖೆಯ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿರೋ, ಇಡೀ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸುಲ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಆರ್ಲಿ ವೈಟ್ಸ್ಮನ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತಾಡೋಕೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ನಾವು ಇರಾನ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳೋಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಂಪರ್ಕ ಮಾಡೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಸೈಡ್ನಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಗ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ನಾವು ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲವೇ ಗಂಟೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಯಿತು. ಬನ್ನಿ ಈ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ.
Hello Orli, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Difficult times.
Very difficult.
We're having this conversation in a difficult time. War is going on.
Yeah.
Now we want to understand what is Israel's perspective is in this war, especially what is the end game, and first what are the objectives of Israel, and geopolitical implications of this conflict which is going on. Among these, first let me ask you about the red line and timing. Israel and Iran were having this proxy war since decades. Iran was fighting Israel through proxies. Israel was busy eliminating those proxies. Even though Israel struck Iran last year, it was a limited strike aimed at neutralizing nuclear threat. But what happened now? What is that red line Iran crossed which forced Israel to engage in an all-out war in the Middle East?
So to understand what really in depth what's happening, you really have to understand history. And I know that today's world, a lot of people, see what's going on, have a one-liner, sort of, try to understand the situation with what they're seeing happening right now, trying to understand it in the immediate context, thinking a lot of times that history may be irrelevant because it was in the past. But to really understand, you have to understand the whole context of what's happening. Iran, the current regime in Iran took over Iran in 1979. Basically, we saw later it's a terrorist group that kidnapped the whole country, a very big country, with a very deep history, but they took this whole regime, this whole country, and turned it into a regime that's main objective, and it's outward, they've said it out loud. Objective was to eliminate Israel. Okay, and they did whatever they could to try and eliminate Israel. We're talking almost 50 years now, 1979. So in one of their strategies was creating the proxies, whether it was Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthis in Yemen, Syria before the change of hands a few months ago. So they were trying to surround Israel with organizations that would help them eliminate Israel. In October 7, 2023, we saw one of the proxies, we saw Hamas basically trying to implement the plan to eliminate Israel. And since then we've been, we realized that we're in or we knew this before, but I think we got the most substantial proof that we're in an existential war. We have to make sure that it doesn't happen again, whether it's coming from the southern part of Israel, whether it's coming from the northern part, the Hezbollah, and whether it's coming directly from Iran.
But was it decided that day itself when Hamas tried to invade Israel? Because after that incident, Israel eliminated or weakened all Iranian proxies. In Lebanon, Israel almost destroyed Hezbollah. In Gaza, they almost took control. They dismantled Hamas network. And US continuously struck Houthis in Yemen. And then happened 2025 June. US and Israel together struck nuclear facilities. Was 2026 conflict, which is happening now, was the final stage or the final nail on the coffin? Was it planned earlier?
I don't know. The truth is, I know that Israel always assesses the situation of its existence. We don't have the luxury to assume that everything is okay, and there are full-time jobs of people trying to assess: are we under
Israel
threat?
has this policy of preemptive strikes.
Exactly. I mean, we can't afford. We made a mistake on October 7th. We saw what happened when we weren't aware enough.
Yeah.
We don't have that luxury. We can't let that happen again. Okay, so we see what kind of enemy we're dealing with, and we don't have the luxury to wait and see. And there are people who are always assessing: are we in threat? And when we are, we take care of it to make sure that these things never happen again, and that Israelis can live, and people in Israel can live safely.
Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke about targeting the head of the octopus, that is Iran and Khamenei, instead of targeting only tentacles like Houthis and these proxies. Now the head is gone, Khamenei is gone, and top Iranian leadership is gone, eliminated. But do you think it's done yet, or it's a long war you're entering? Because already we are having or seeing the signs of IRGC going rogue here and there in Iran without a head. Oman, current leadership in Iran saying we didn't ask IRGC to target Oman, but strikes are happening against Oman as well.
Mm-hmm. So again, I think this is evidence of how crazy this regime is. They're striking everything and everybody. I don't know how long the war will go on. I know that Israel has to make sure it's not threatened. And I think the only way to do it is to make sure that the head of the octopus is taken care of, because it's a special octopus, the tentacles keep growing back. We see that even in this situation where Iranian people were living in terrible conditions, the last outrage was because of the economic situation in Iran, but still Iran chooses to invest in reestablishing these tentacles or these proxies to eliminate Israel. So really, we have no choice but to make sure that this doesn't happen. We see it's a regime that has no stops. The fact that they're attacking other countries is just proof they're attacking the Middle East. They're attacking Cyprus. It just shows how important it is to make sure that this crazy regime doesn't have nuclear powers. Try to think what it would look like if they were doing this with nuclear power. How would the world look at that point?
Now, are they making it easier for Israel and America to make a case for themselves? Because it was turning into religious conflict in the initial stage, like America and Israel is targeting a Muslim country. But now they are firing ballistic missiles and drones against Muslim countries only. They are targeting all Sunni Arab countries. So the progression, the way it is going now, is it making a case for US and Israel to say, see, this is not a religious conflict anymore. This is a political thing, and it is a conflict against terrorism.
So for Israel, it was never about religion. Israel, is a country, it's a Jewish state, but with 20% of Arab Muslim citizens. and it was never about religion. Israel has rights. Everybody has free rights, whether they're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, whatever religion in Israel has. There's no religious conflict in the way Israel sees it. This has always been about a fight against terrorism. It has nothing to do with religion. In fact, Iran and Israel before 1979 were very, very close allies. And it was still a Muslim country back then. And they were very close allies before 1979. This is about fighting a terrorist regime that wants to eliminate Israel. Okay? And Israel, and I don't want to speak for the US because I speak for Israel. Israel doesn't need more justification. Israel knows that Iran has been threatening its existence, wants to keep threatening its existence, and for that we know that we're fighting a righteous fight to allow ourselves to exist. The fact that they are now attacking other countries just shows that this has to be stopped and has to be eliminated. For me, when I think about the fact that they could have been doing this with nuclear weapons, I get the chills. It's really, really scary, and I'm grateful that my country is able to assess this and to take care not only of me as an Israeli citizen and my family, my daughter who's now in Israel running to the shelters every few minutes. I'm grateful that they were able to assess this before we got into a situation. I hope the worst of the world is grateful for that as well.
Okay. Now, what are the ultimate objectives here? Because initially it was discussed that regime change, but it is not seeming to be happening because Iran seeming to be having plan A, plan B, plan C, that kind of thing going on. Even yesterday, current Iranian administration gave a statement that everything is functioning as earlier only. Khamenei is gone, top leadership is gone, but Iran is still functioning and still firing drones and missiles. So what are the objectives here and how to achieve them?
Right. So again, I'm sure that both US and Israel have plans, which of course they don't publish, and it's not something that can be discussed. But what I know to tell and what I know to be true is that, like I keep saying, Israel will make sure that they're not threatened anymore. Okay, that's the objective, to be able to live in peace. Israel wants to be able to live in a situation where countries accept its existence, where countries don't threaten its existence, and we don't have to live under a constant threat all the time. That's the objective, and that's what Israel will keep fighting for and trying to get into a situation where we can finally see a peaceful Middle East, a situation where Israel lives quietly and happily and can pursue, good things like we do with India, like the cooperation that we have with India, to have that with other countries around the Middle East. That's what we're striving for. That's what we aim for. I think that would, really make the world a better place, because Israel has so much to offer. Israel has some cooperation with so many countries, and I think India is a great example in that sense of what great nations can do together. And, we'd like to replicate that around the world, and to have, we have the Abraham Accords now with the United Arab Emirates. We'd like to see that expand. And I think, once the threat is gone, once Israel is accepted and isn't threatened all the time, then we'd see a different world.
But is it possible without putting boots on the ground in Iran? Because aerial bombings have their own limitations. We can hit few targets. Precision strikes we can conduct. But without putting boots on the ground, is it possible to completely affect the regime change? Completely eliminate IRGC?
Yeah, I'm sure that the armies have plans. I'm sure that the armies know what they're doing. I'm not a military expert, but I know that everything was thought of, and things are being taken into account. I don't know how it's going to play out, but again, I know that Israel will do what needs to be done in order to make sure that the threat is eliminated.
And President Trump claimed Iran's nuclear capabilities obliterated. But is it guaranteed that 100% their capabilities are gone now? Because yesterday night itself, we saw the news. They had built another new, which was unknown to the world, the nuclear facility. It was found yesterday, and joint strike destroyed it. So, are America and Israel are sure that their nuclear capabilities are completely gone yet?
again, we're in a war now to make sure that this happens. So we're still in the midst of it, and this is the aim for it to happen. And we see that this is a regime that nobody can trust. So, and I think we saw in the past that there were attempts to try and get to some kinds of negotiations with the Iranian regime, but it's now obvious that there's nobody to trust there. Nobody can, we can't know for sure how they're going to act, and that's why it has to be dealt with now, and to make sure that really this threat is taken care of, because we can't trust what they say. We can't trust how they're going to act after. And even if things are eliminated now, we don't know how they're going to take it in the future if this regime stays in power. So we have to make sure now that we get to all the abilities, and also maybe hopefully ruin the intent. And when I say ruin the intent, it's either a new governance in Iran that would care more about Iranian people than destroying other countries, or any leader of Iran who would say, okay, that we can trust what they say, that they don't want to create mass destruction weapons. That's what we're hoping for. I mean, whatever happens in Iran in the end is up to the Iranian people. But as Israel, we have to make sure that there is whoever governs there, we can trust, to make sure that the accomplishments that we achieve, the disarming the nuclear threat, we have to make sure that this achievement is kept, and that the people who promise to keep it are trustworthy.
That is the challenge here, because unless you put the boot on the ground, it is very difficult to find out every facility and destroy. The second option is the friendly regime in Iran. Is that the strategy? Because President Trump, a day ago, he spoke to Kurdistan leaders. Now, analysis is going on that America may try to create Kurdistan, Balochistan, Azerbaijani territory, and Arabistan, these kind of... Is Iran getting fragmented? Is that the strategy?
Iran, I don't know if it's a strategy. Iran is fragmented. Okay, we saw, I think, for the past few years, there keep being up. There's uprisings of citizens who are not happy, and I think you see most of the citizens they're being held down by a regime that doesn't allow them to speak their mind, and we see protests that end violently every few years. The last one just 2 months ago, where I think the assessment is about 30,000 people who were killed, Iranian people killed by their own regime. Okay, so this is we're talking about a people that are living in terrible conditions, that are not happy with the governance that they're it's basically a terrorist organization that's putting them down. So of course I personally hope that the Iranian people have the opportunity to overthrow this leadership. Because for me, as an Israeli, what I care about as an Israeli is for us to live safely. But as a human being, I would like to see Iranian people free. I would like to see people who are living happily. I would like to see people living in a society where the government takes care of them, where they invest in them, where when women are free to do what they want, they're free to go out the way they want, where people are not hanged in the streets as they are now. So I hope for the Iranian people that they have the chance to live happily.
But now the biggest threat for the world economy, especially for the Asia, is that Strait of Hormuz. Iran has declared that they're going to completely block that tiny stretch of sea at the Strait of Hormuz, from where China, India, South Korea, Japan draws majority of the oil and gas through that passage. How United States and Israel are going to ensure that the sea route is open?
So as far as I know, for now, I think the sea route is open. I think there is an insurance issue. I think that's, but I don't think it's closed. And I know, and I just, I saw or I read on the news, I don't know any, I think just like you did, that the Americans have attacked some of the Iranian Navy.
They're sending a large fleet now there.
So again, but I think that the power that Iran has to, or the perceived power that Iran has to close this is another indication of why Iran has to be taken care of. We can't have a crazy regime controlling the economy of the world. We have to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so this is the opportunity to make sure that our future is safer. That the whole world economy isn't, held hostage to a crazy regime. I think it's a demonstration of why we need to continue the operation until there's no more threat, no nuclear threat, no economical threat, no ballistic threat. This crazy regime holding a lot of power, or perceived to hold a lot of power. I think now they have less power than they think they have, and this is good. But we have to make sure that this doesn't happen. We have to make sure that this regime doesn't have this kind of control of the world in so many different senses in the future.
Now, if this war drags on and on for months and months, Trump is saying it is around 4 to 5 weeks. He's expecting this war to be continued. But if this drags on, how long Israel can sustain the offensive? Because Israel is engaging Lebanon, Hezbollah in South Lebanon as well at the same time. They're not only aerial bombing the Hezbollah there, they're also sending army, the ground troops as well since yesterday into Hezbollah territory. So for someone who looks towards Israel from outside, it is puzzling how Israel manages to engage in multiple fronts at the same time.
Israel, I think, necessity is the mother of all inventions. Israel, since its creation, was basically attacked. The War of Independence, 1948. Israel once we became a country, we immediately had to fight a 7-front war. And the alternative for us, if we don't win these wars, we don't exist. So Israel has learned to make sure that it's a necessity. And we saw what happened in Europe during the Holocaust. We saw how the Jewish people were always, and Europe, I think the Holocaust was the biggest pogrom or the biggest murder of Jewish people. But this targeting of Jewish people has been happening for thousands of years. Jews have always been a target everywhere except for one country in the world, which is India, where Jews were able to thrive and live as equals. But in Europe and in many other countries, Jews were attacked just for being Jews. They were always scapegoated, and we saw this the real culmination of this in the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered from all over Europe, and Israel came into existence, or modern Israel, because of course ancient Israel, the homeland of the Jewish people for thousands of years, has existed since biblical times. But the modern Israel, the independence was in 1948, and immediately again it was under threat. But we knew that if we didn't win the war, then Israel wouldn't exist. If Israel did not exist, Jews again will be targeted around the world and killed. So really we have no choice. And I think the reaction of the world today in some places of always criticizing Israel, always not understanding its right to defend itself, is just no more proof of how important Israel is to the Jewish people. Because the world has a tendency not to accept that. And for me, I think it's a continuation of the non-acceptance of Jews throughout history. Now it's targeted towards Israel. But that's just more proof that Israel has to be able to defend itself. And we create this ability because we have no choice.
Now, since the beginning of the war now, is Israeli administration sensing the danger of anti-Semitism rising slowly across the world, and how Israeli government is planning to ensure the safety of Jewish people across the world?
So I think we've seen rise of anti-Semitism since October 7th. It's really, to me, I really don't understand it. I mean, we were attacked brutally. Like I said, we were, I was there. I was in Jerusalem on the day that this happened, and luckily I wasn't on the Gaza border itself, but we were also affected by this. And you saw, friends who were murdered, friends who were kidnapped, held in captivity of Hamas, babies who were, raped in the most brutal ways. really unbelievable stories, and I can't even, it chills me to even start talking about it. But the immediate reaction was anti-Semitism around the world. Israel had no choice, of course, to defend itself, but the immediate reaction was anti-Semitism around the world, and I think it's it's not. We see this through history. Like I said, we saw Israel was always, or Jews were always blamed for things throughout history and always targeted, and Israel is now the symbolism of the Jewish people. It's the homeland of the Jewish people, so of course it's targeted as well. But the anti-Semitism, it's not only the anti-Israeli sentiment that we see around the world. We see real anti-Semitism towards Jews who have nothing to do with Israel, who are attacked just because people are now scared to wear the Star of David or scared to wear the yarmulke, which is Jewish symbols, because they're attacked, because they're Jewish. So Israel, what Israel can do is make sure that there's a strong homeland for these Jewish people. Any Jew around the world can come and seek a refuge in Israel and have an army to defend it. That's why we need a strong army. That's why we need to be able to eliminate regimes like Iran who want to destroy us, and to deal with that, and to have the ability to protect Jews from any anti-Semitic things that happen, whether it's towards Israel, towards Jews. Israel will be able to protect them.
And now, what is the situation of this Palestinian question? Because is two-state solution still alive? What is the future of Gaza Strip and West Bank going forward? So
I think the 20 point, we're all familiar with the 20-point plan that Trump was pursuing. We're still in the midst of that. I think Israel is doing its best to align with that, hoping that Hamas will cooperate and actually disarm themselves. We'll see how that works, and from there we'll go on. I think that after, I think the 20-point plan is the basis of this, and we'll build off of that going on from there.
Now, when it comes to India-Israel relations, India also had communications with Iran. India developed a port there, Chabahar port. So, in this ongoing crisis, what is the expectation of Israel from the Modi government? Does Israel expect India to take a side, or how it is managed?
Israel and India are very, very close allies. And I think India's support for the past 2 years and Israel's support to India in the past 2 years, because I think both countries have gone through things during this time. We saw a very, very close friend. I think since for the past 15, 20 years, Israel and India are growing closer and closer. But the past 2.5 years were really the proof of how strong this friendship between Israel and India is. Israel values this friendship very, very much and looks forward to maintaining this friendship with India in the future and making it. I think Prime Minister Modi's visit, just what it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I'm losing track of time because of everything seems longer since the war started. But he visited Israel just not too long ago, and I think that's just that's making the friendship actually taking action. We're seeing this friendship now come into action. It's been in action. We see cooperation in many different areas already, but this is taking it a step closer. So Israel is looking forward to keeping and looking at the prosperity of this relationship in the near future.
And there is Pakistan, which is even more dangerous. What is Iran is for Israel, Pakistan is for India. Now, recently, Prime Minister Netanyahu said, Pakistan is not an enemy. And there are reports that in this ongoing operation as well, Pakistan has given logistical support behind the scenes to US operations. So, is there any reason for India to be worried about?
So India, again, like I said, India and Israel are very, very close allies. Israel does not have any diplomatic relations with Pakistan. Pakistan has shown in the past hostility towards Israel. I'm can't respond to rumors. Rumors are something that means nothing in this sense. I don't know what the rumors are. I also don't know what the relations between what's happening between the United States and Pakistan. I can't comment on that. I don't speak for the United States or for Pakistan. I know that Israel values its friendship with India. I know that this is a very, very strategic alliance for us, and it's something that we value very much.
And India also faces terrorism from Pakistan, cross-border terrorism, and sometimes also within the country. You have seen what happened in Pahalgam and also in Delhi. If there are top 1, 2, 3 lessons India can learn from Israel in combating terrorism, what are they?
I think India and Israel have become so close because India is one of the only countries maybe that understands what Israel is going through. And Indians, I can see that when I speak to Indians. I've served in other countries before, in European countries, and you can see in the conversation with them that they don't get it. But in India, I feel differently. In India, I feel that people understand. They understand that life is complex, that relations are complex, that reality has to be understood in a deeper level than just good or bad, and this is something that's very very encouraging. And I think that India and Israel both understand the importance of battling terrorism, and they both understand the strategic importance of doing that in a way that would eliminate threats. I think that India and Israel are already working together, and I think the fact that the defense cooperation is happening, and now there were more MOUs signed on that topic during Prime Minister Modi's visit, is the understanding that together we can create a better situation for both countries and for the world as a whole.
And when it comes to cooperation, now free trade agreement related talks are going on between India and Israel. When we can expect this to be finalized? And also recently Prime Minister Netanyahu mentioned about this Hexon alliance, and Prime Minister expects India to be a major part of this Hexon alliance. What is this? Is it just a fancy name for technology sharing, or Israel thinking about finalizing a military alliance?
So I think you're talking about the free trade agreement. I think the free trade agreement is something that again was discussed during the visit. It's something that we're hoping to see happen in the next, within the next year or so. I think the alliance that we want is basically an alliance that would make the world a much better place. We want something that would allow for cooperation and innovation to scale up. I think that's what Israel is about. Israel is not known as a startup nation for nothing. It's a nation that always thrives to create better things. We can see so many inventions coming out of Israel. We can see so many things that were thought of or imagined in Israel. And now with the cooperation with India, with India's capabilities, with India's scale-up options, I think that's something that we can really see this way of thought, this emerging of new technologies, emerging of new things happening, especially in an exciting time where we see AI, coming into our world, where we see quantum computing. We're really facing new. In the past we were talking about cooperation in agriculture and whatnot, which of course we still do, but here there's suddenly so many new opportunities. So I think what we're looking for is to be able to have partners to take the world really to take these capabilities and make them work for the world as a better place. And it's important to do that because all these things that develop, we're also looking at AI. On the one hand, we look at it and it's like a exciting thing, and I'm sure we all sort of play around with these different apps that come up. But we're also aware that it has other if it's used in the wrong way, it could be scary. So that's why it's important to have people who realize or countries who want to make the world a better place, who want to use these capabilities to create things that are good for humanity, work together.
And since you operate from Bengaluru, being Israeli Consul General for South India, let me ask you something about Karnataka. Recently you mentioned about Mangaluru Israel trade roadmap. Why Mangaluru, and what is the plan there?
So again, Israel is working in South India. I'm the consul, and I'm in South India. I'm in charge of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala and Pondicherry. And our aim is to try and get as much cooperation in all of these parts. Any of these places, whether it's Mangalore, whether it's Bangalore, whether it's other places around South India, we're looking for opportunities. Mangalore is now trying to develop itself as the Silicon Beach, I think they call themselves, which I like the term. I think it's a perfect. Even the name is a perfect place for cooperation. Israel is if you go to Tel Aviv, I don't know if you've been to Tel Aviv, but if you go to Tel Aviv, you'll see a very vibrant beach city that people are always there trying to enjoying the huge stretches of beach, and you'll see people who are playing volleyball all day and night, running on the beach, having a whole life on the beach. And it's also the capital of innovation. So Silicon Beach would be the perfect partner, even in culture and mind and mindset for Israel. And I think there are a lot of opportunities now happening in that area. And we're looking forward to seeing how we can make that happen. I think, but it wouldn't be only in Mangalore. Israel is open to try and find opportunities anywhere in India, and for me specifically in South India.
I think we need Israel's technology and partnership in water management in Bengaluru, because every summer Bengaluru faces water shortage, scarcity. Israel is a leader in the world when it comes to water management. Do you see any scope in that area with the Karnataka government?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, there are lots of Israeli companies that deal with water. They already operate in India and even in Bangalore. We have had talks, and we still have talks with different officials in Bangalore and some of the academia here to discuss water technologies. We are looking into seeing what kind of solutions can be done. I very much hope that Israeli companies will be able to come and offer their solutions, because there are very interesting solutions that they can be offered that can really, really help the problems that we encounter in Bangalore with water. So I really hope to see that coming to fruition soon. And it's definitely something that me as a consul here in Bangalore, I would very much like to pursue and hope that we can see something tangible in the near future.
And we are here in Bengaluru since 2 years now. It is almost 1.5, 2 years?
1.5 years.
Yeah. Apart from this infamous traffic, what is that one thing that surprises you most about Nama Bengaluru?
Okay, so I think when I'd never been to India before coming to Bangalore before a year and a half ago. Even though lots of Israelis, most Israelis I would say, come to India and travel a lot, I didn't have the pleasure of doing that. And when I was told that I was coming to Bangalore as a diplomat, I was a little scared, I have to be honest, because I had never, India always seemed like a very exotic, different country. I thought there would be a very big cultural gap, and I was, trying to figure out how I would face that and what I would do. And I was learning a little bit about India. But
India is not one world. It is a country with many worlds within.
Exactly. So I can only speak about Karnataka now, or Bangalore now, because that's where I live, and I haven't really traveled extensively. I think the thing that surprised me most was how similar people from Bangalore are to people in Israel. That surprised me more than anything. The people here are very much direct and very sincere, and have the same family values. So it made it so much easier for me. I feel that I feel very, very connected to the people here in Bangalore. I feel very comfortable working with them. I have a lot of Indian friends, and so I really enjoy it here. I think if I had to say one thing that I love most about my time here is the people. I like the food. The dosa masala is something that we discovered.
Masala dosa, yeah.
But
hummus or masala dosa?
Hummus, sorry, but masala dosa is very close. Yeah. But the people of Bangalore are, I think, the best thing that Bangalore has to offer.
Have you learned few Kannada words?
Very little, and so I won't embarrass myself by trying to say them.
Okay. I think you will learn in future. At least few words.
Yes, absolutely. And I always keep sort of when I look at the, at first because I of course also visited Tamil Nadu and visited Kerala, and to see, I've suddenly, at first everything looked kind of the same, and suddenly I know how to when I see Malayalam, I know it's Malayalam. When I see Kannada, I know it's Kannada. And when I see Tamil, I know it's Tamil.
Now you're able to recognize.
Yeah, I can able to recognize. Yeah. I'm hoping to learn some more. So Kannada, maybe the next interview we can do in Kannada. Who knows?
That would be great.
Yeah.
You can repeat
repeat one line which I say. It is like you are saying hi to Kannadigas. I'll say in Kannada.
Namaskar.
For hello, it is namaskara.
Yeah.
I will say one line. You can repeat that. Ella Kannadigarigoo namaskara.
Yalla Kannadigu namaskara.
Okay, that was fantastic. Orli, thank you so much for giving us time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.